Before graduation, Holden Blackwood, the heir to a fortune, got brutally dumped by the most popular girl in school. He sat at his usual corner desk, eyes blank, untouched textbooks spread out before him. I edged closer, gnawing on a stale bagel that tasted like regret. "You know," I said lightly, "I kind of look like her. Why not date me instead?" He didn't answer right away. Then, without a word, he handed me the single rose he'd planned to give her. I accepted it without hesitation. If he wanted a replacement, I could play that role better than anyone. When he asked what I wanted, I smiled and said, $1 million a month. He didn't blink. He sent two. After we married, our lives ran on schedule. 4 times a week, no romance, no surprises. But always with a smile, always perfect. People said Holden had finally found love, until his assistant pulled me aside one day. "Mrs. Blackwood, that new secretary he hired. I heard she used to be the most popular girl at your old school. And, he just gave her your favorite private lounge." I never pretended to love Holden. I wanted the life that came with his name. Holden was the kind of man who expressed love through gifts. While I survived on cheap bread and half-empty coffee cups, Sophia, his ex, flaunted diamond earrings worth more than my entire neighborhood. I used to watch her from a distance, wondering how she could walk away from a man who practically worshipped her. When Sophia slapped him and stormed out of class, I saw my chance. I stopped her at the door. "So, it's really over?" I asked. Her gaze slid over my worn uniform, and she scoffed. "Yeah."
"Why?"
"You want him. If I can get him, you'll give me those earrings," I said, nodding toward the glittering diamonds. She smirked.
"Sure.
"If you actually manage that, they're yours." At our graduation party, when Holden walked in with his arm around my waist, Sophia's smile froze. While he went to the restroom, she requested a song dedicated to me. As the lyrics, "Cheating Girl," filled the room, everyone turned to stare. "You're pathetic, Chloe," she spat. I knew I was nothing more than a stand-in. But I wasn't about to let her win. I uncorked a bottle of champagne and poured it over her perfect curls, then plucked the earrings from her ears. "A deal's a deal," I said coolly. "If you didn't want me to have him, you shouldn't have gotten engaged to that scholarship kid." She lunged, but Holden grabbed me and took the hit instead. He pulled me out of the bar, and we drove in silence. I knew he was hurting. His heart still belonged to her.
"So I did what I had to."
I followed Sophia's Instagram, copied every outfit she posted, wore her perfume, her lipstick shades. Every time Holden looked at me, I saw it. The flicker of longing for the girl I wasn't. But I didn't care. $1 million a month turned into 2. When I asked for 3, he sent 5. Who needs love when money listens better than a man ever could? I'd grown up with nothing, and now I had everything. I wasn't about to feel guilty for taking what I deserved. Then, on our first anniversary, Sophia posted a photo of a butterfly tattoo on her neck. 10 hours of pain later, I had the same one. When Holden came out of the shower and saw it, his face went blank. "Don't ever do that again," he said simply. "And throw out all your purple clothes." Lavender was Sophia's favorite color. My stomach dropped. Was he finally done pretending? He tapped my forehead lightly. "You don't have to copy her anymore. I'll still take care of you." The next morning, every hint of purple was gone. The closets were filled with sleek black dresses instead. He knew I loved black? For a while, I wondered what that meant. If I wasn't her replacement, who was I to him? So I tested him again. I asked for $8 million. He handed me an unlimited black card. While shopping with Mia, she nudged me. "Didn't you say 5 years and then you'd cash out?
It's almost time."
"When are you walking away?" I didn't answer. My eyes were on the display window, tiny baby clothes lined up like a dream I never planned to have. For 5 years, I lived as Holden Blackwood's stand-in. I didn't really know what love was supposed to feel like. The only memory I had of tenderness was from childhood, when my mother knitted me a scarf before leaving with another man. Tonight, my fingers were covered in small bandages, but the scarf I'd been making was finally done. It was one of our nights, yet Holden was half an hour late. I waited on the couch, the silence thick enough to swallow me whole, until sleep began to drag me under. A warm breath and a soft kiss stirred me awake. "Sorry," Holden whispered, undoing his tie, voice low and frayed at the edges. A client added a last-minute clause. I couldn't leave until it was settled. This time, I didn't let him come closer. "Holden, when do you plan on divorcing me?" His hands stilled. "What?" "I know she's back," I said evenly. The lounge I used at your office? My access is gone. You gave it to her. He froze, eyes darkening. Don't worry, I continued. I'm not here to fight for you. I don't need a massive payout. Just give me. But before I could finish, he was already dialing a number. His tone was sharp as glass. Who authorized a new hire? And who moved my wife's access without my consent? The HR manager on the other end stammered. Sir. She showed us photos from when you and she dated. She said your wife took you from her. The resemblance between Mrs. Blackwood and Miss Sophia is uncanny, so we assumed. Holden's expression turned glacial. Blacklist Sophia from every company under our umbrella. Restore my wife's access immediately. And you collect your final paycheck. He hung up before they could respond. I stared at him, speechless. Holden turned to me, gathered me against his chest, and kissed me so hard it stole my breath. I'm sorry, he murmured. I didn't know. I've been away from headquarters too long. And I believed him. He was always traveling, handling business across continents. But no matter how busy he got, he never once missed our 4 nights together. Still, a quiet ache pressed at my chest. You're really going to blacklist her? Doesn't that feel cruel? He met my eyes. She's no one to me. Then he kissed me again, rougher this time. Are you saying that because you mean it? I whispered. Yes. Then tell me, I said, arms circling his neck. What am I to you? He paused only for a heartbeat before his lips brushed mine again. You're my wife. Something inside me trembled at that word. Then from now on, I'll start acting like it. A faint smile tugged at his mouth. It's about time. Neither of us slept that night. My knitting had gotten better. I unraveled the old scarf and made a new one, thicker and softer. Then Mia sent me a video. Holden was in Monaco, leaving a meeting under heavy rain. The camera followed him as he stepped through puddles, a black umbrella overhead. On the opposite sidewalk stood Sophia. She was drenched, her violet dress clinging to her frame, makeup running down her cheeks. Holden, she called, her voice trembling. He slowed for only a second. Then he walked past her without turning back. Holden, have you forgotten everything we were? He didn't answer. He just kept walking. I felt something loosen in my chest. Maybe, finally, he'd chosen me. But I underestimated Sophia. The storm lasted all night, and so did she. When she finally collapsed from exhaustion, someone's umbrella came into view on the video. The camera panned upward. Holden was there, dry and composed, his expression unreadable. The umbrella was tilted slightly, just enough to shield her from the rain. The next morning, he returned to New York as scheduled. But Sophia stayed in the Monaco villa, his villa. Mia's voice crackled through the phone. Chloe, what's that supposed to mean? Holden never spends money on women unless he cares about them. I thought for a long moment. Then I'll remind him what it means to have a wife. That afternoon, Sophia was evicted from the property. And that night, for the first time in 5 years, Holden didn't come home. I called again and again. No answer. When he finally walked through the door the next morning, he looked worn out, eyes bloodshot. Did you have her thrown out? He asked flatly. Yes. His jaw clenched. Who told you to do that? His tone was sharp enough to cut. I met his stare. As your wife, am I supposed to smile while your ex lives in our villa? Holden didn't reply.
He tossed his phone at me.
A video played, Sophia, cornered in an alley, men surrounding her, her dress torn. If I hadn't shown up when I did, she would have been assaulted, he said, voice trembling with fury. I watched the screen, then handed the phone back. What do you expect me to do? Go to the hospital. Apologize. I laughed softly. I'm not apologizing to another woman for my husband's mistake. His expression darkened. Another woman? He gave a harsh, bitter smile. If we're being honest, Chloe, weren't you the other woman from the start? The air left my lungs. He didn't notice my silence. He just turned away and slammed the door behind him. I sat there until the night turned to dawn, my phone buzzing with messages. Chloe, what's going on? Why is Holden at the hospital with another woman? They're saying she's his first love. That can't be true, right? I didn't reply. Instead, I packed my things. When Holden came home 3 days later, his eyes fell on the suitcase. He let out a low, humorless laugh. What's this, running away? I held out the papers between us. It's over, Holden. You can keep the money. The cup in his hand froze midair. Holden flipped through the divorce papers, one page after another, his expression unreadable. His hands trembled faintly. "Divorce me?" he asked quietly. "Who's going to pay you that kind of money now?" I gave a small smile. "Thank you for your concern, Mr. Blackwood. I'll survive." He exhaled, the sound sharp.
Fine. We'll divorce.
"But you'll return every cent I've spent on you." My body went still. In 5 years, I'd earned plenty from him, but I'd spent my share too. Seeing my hesitation, a faint smirk tugged at his lips. "So, you can't pay it back? Then maybe you don't really want to leave." "I can," I said simply. His gaze flickered in disbelief. The truth was, I'd always been careful with money. Even with millions in the bank, I couldn't bring myself to waste it. When Holden traveled abroad, I still ate instant noodles with a boiled egg and called it dinner. After all this time, my savings had grown into hundreds of millions, and I'd used less than a fraction of it. I handed him my card. Then I reached for the diamond earrings on my ears, the same ones Sophia once flaunted before losing them to me in a bet. "These cover the rest," I said. "Now we're even." I took his hand, placed the earrings in his palm, and turned to leave. The next sound I heard was the sharp clatter of metal hitting marble. Then his hand wrapped around my wrist. "Don't go," he said, voice cracking. I didn't mean it. For once, Holden Blackwood, the man who could charm CEOs and reporters alike, was speechless. "Holden, let go." I snapped but then froze. A single tear hit my skin. I stared at him, stunned. "Are you crying?"
His voice was raw.
"I'm sorry, Chloe. Please don't walk away." I'd never seen him like this. This man who ruled boardrooms and headlines, suddenly so small. So I stayed and listened. He told me he hadn't been at the hospital at all. The messages I'd received were part of a plan. He'd asked his friends to send them, hoping to force me into revealing whether I had arranged the attack on Sophia. He hadn't believed I was innocent.
He thought I'd gone too far.
"I only went to the hospital to make sure she wouldn't press charges," he said hoarsely. I was furious. "I didn't think. Calling you the other woman. I shouldn't have." Silence stretched between us. "You really hurt me," I said finally. Pain flashed in his eyes. "But," I continued quietly, "I'll give you one last chance." He straightened, hope lighting his face. "Cut her off completely. No contact, no pity. Send her somewhere far away." He took my hands and squeezed. "I promise." Holden kept his word. The next day, Sophia was on a flight overseas, to the same country where her penniless ex was supposedly traveling. Holden seemed weighed down with guilt, and his assistant hinted that he was planning something big. "He's announcing it this weekend," the man confided. "You'll finally be introduced as Mrs. Blackwood." For years, our marriage had been a quiet secret, something polished and hidden, like jewelry locked in a vault. I'd never minded before. But now, for the first time, I found myself excited. That week, Holden was gentler, more attentive than ever. After every night together, he'd hold me close and whisper, "There's a press conference this weekend. I want you there." I pretended surprise. "Really?" He smiled against my neck. "Really?" On the day of the event, I arrived early. His assistant escorted me to a seat in the front row, where every camera would find me. The room shimmered with anticipation, flashes, microphones, whispers of curiosity. Everyone was desperate to see the mysterious woman who'd captured Holden Blackwood's heart. The assistant handed me a bouquet of deep crimson roses, my favorite. The scent was heady, the petals still cool, with morning dew. They must have been flown and fresh. Then Holden walked onto the stage. His eyes found me instantly, and he smiled, slow, deliberate, intimate. He lifted the microphone. His voice carried easily over the hush. "The woman I'm about to introduce is someone I fell in love with the moment I met her, back in high school." My breath caught. Love at first sight? Then the curtains behind him drew open. Someone took the bouquet from my hands and placed it into hers. "She was my first love," Holden said softly, smiling toward the stage lights. "Sophia." I froze in disbelief as Sophia appeared on stage, draped in a flowing lavender gown that shimmered under the spotlight meant for me. Holden, the man who had once knelt to adjust the hem of my dresses, now gently straightened the trail of hers, his touch reverent, his gaze soft. She looked ethereal, almost glowing, her shy smile edged with the triumph of someone who had just won a long-fought battle. "Mia," Holden's assistant whispered in alarm, but Mia had already leapt to her feet, fury blazing in her eyes. "What is this?" she shouted, slamming her palms on the table. Holden Blackwood, your wife is right here. She pushed me into the aisle, forcing me under the harsh glare of the lights. Holden's expression shifted instantly. His smile vanished, replaced by a cold, guarded stare. Do you really want me to reveal the truth here? He asked, his voice icy. Do you want everyone to know what you did before you finally give up? My throat went dry. What are you talking about? Sophia's eyes filled with tears, perfect and deliberate. Holden's expression twisted in pain as he looked at her. Then the giant screen behind them flickered to life. The audience gasped. It was Sophia, bruised, terrified, surrounded by rough-looking men in a dark alley. Chloe, Holden said quietly, his tone low and cutting. I sent her away like you asked. Why did you have to follow her? Why did you have to do something so cruel? The hall erupted into chaos. She hired men to hurt that woman? So, which one's his wife? The one in black or the one in purple? Wait, if the woman in black's the wife, doesn't that make the purple one the mistress? Holden raised a hand for silence. Sophia is not a mistress, he said evenly. His gaze cut to me. Chloe is. The screen shifted again, this time showing cheerful photos of Holden and Sophia as teenagers. At a fair, he stole a bite of her ice cream. On a roller coaster, he covered her eyes while laughing at her terrified screams. In a classroom, she'd snapped a candid photo of him gazing at her with unmistakable tenderness. The crowd softened. How sweet, it's like young love all over again. Of course he'd still love her. You never forget your first. Honestly, it's kind of romantic. Sophia took the microphone, voice trembling. We had a stupid fight before graduation, she said, looking down. While I was still angry, Miss Chloe confessed her feelings to him. We were young, foolish. By the time I wanted to make up, she had already taken him. She swallowed a sob. I thought he didn't love me anymore, so I left. That's a lie. Mia shouted. You were the one running off with that broke scholarship boy. Chloe even asked if you two were done before she confessed, and you said yes. Then, when your new fiancé turned out to be broke, you came crawling back. You knew Holden was married and still went after him. The crowd murmured uncertainly. Well, if Sophia said they were broken up, but Holden said they weren't, that means Chloe interfered. Or maybe Sophia's twisting things. She did say it herself back then. Sophia faltered, clutching Holden's sleeve. Holden, we weren't really broken up, right? Holden hesitated, then gave me a complicated look. I clenched my fists. Mr. Blackwood, what we had, it was consensual, wasn't it? He frowned, then slowly took the mic. Yes. But Sophia and I were never truly over. It was all a misunderstanding. If not for this reunion, I might have lived deceived forever. The reporters erupted with excitement. So Chloe took advantage of their fight and seduced him? And he settled for her because Sophia moved on? Neither denied it. Camera flashes blinded me as the headlines wrote themselves in real time. 5 years as the mistress, society's biggest scandal. True love rekindled. Holden and Sophia's reunion. Mia lunged forward, furious, but I caught her arm. I turned to Holden.
My voice was steady.
So, you want a divorce? He hesitated, then nodded. Yes. Applause broke out. A perfect ending. The soulmates are back together. Holden didn't look pleased. His eyes stayed on me, searching. I smiled faintly. Good. He flinched.
Just barely.
I took Mia's hand and walked out through the crowd of flashing cameras. Later, when his assistant arrived with the divorce papers, his smirk was smug. She won't sign, he told Mia. The contract leaves her with nothing. Let's see how she survives without the Blackwood name. Mia bristled. Who says she won't? I calmly took the folder. I'll think about it. As we left, I heard his mocking voice over the phone. Yes, Mr. Blackwood. Just like you said, she's bluffing again. Holden's low laugh echoed faintly. He was wrong. I was going to sign. The mansion was quiet when we returned. Mia paced the living room, seething. 1 minute, he calls you his wife. The next, he humiliates you in public. Is this a game to him? Do all-powerful men get off on breaking women like this? I folded another sweater into the suitcase. Who said I fell for him? Mia snorted. Then what are you doing here? Packing up the ashes of your pride. My hand froze over a knitted scarf. I forced a smile. Don't be dramatic. I continued packing. Every photo, every note, every little token of a life I had once convinced myself was love. Even the cheap, handmade ring I'd once given him. I didn't want him to find any of it later and think, even for a second, that he'd ever truly owned my heart. When everything was neatly boxed away, I placed the signed divorce papers on his desk, along with his black card. The diamond earrings that could pay for a small apartment rested on top, glinting coldly under the light. Then I picked up my suitcase and walked out without looking back. I moved to a quiet coastal town and used the interest from my savings to open a small flower shop. It was peaceful, filled with a scent of lilies and soil, nothing like the glittering cage I'd once lived in. I tried to avoid news about Holden, but he and Sophia were everywhere. He brought her to business conferences, proudly introducing her to billionaires and board members. Our favorite restaurant by the sea, our private corner by the window, was now their spot. On May 20th, he lit up the night sky with lanterns and gifted her 52 pearls, each worth more than some houses. The story went viral for days. I blocked both of their names online, but headlines about their fairy tale love still slipped through. In the end, I simply turned off my phone and focused on the shop. Mia crouched beside a row of potted tulips, resting her chin in her palms. Don't mope. That kind of rebound never lasts. I laughed, flicking water at her with the spray bottle. Who said I care if it lasts? We burst out laughing, the sound bright and brittle in the quiet shop. Meanwhile, Holden sat somewhere far away, staring at his phone. For 5 years, I had texted him every morning and night without fail, even when he didn't reply. I'd stopped only once, the week after I left. That silence, apparently, bothered him. He cut short a date with Sophia that night, abandoning their moonlit plans to welcome the 21st together. It wasn't even 10 when he turned the car around. He returned to the mansion for the first time in days, expecting me to be there sulking. Instead, he found an empty house. On his desk lay the divorce papers, my signature neatly inked on every page. Beside them, the black card and the pair of diamond earrings. His breath caught. She actually signed, his assistant whispered. Holden grabbed the man by the shoulders. You said she was bluffing. Then why are the earrings here? Why did she leave everything? I don't know, the man stammered. I thought she'd never walk away from that kind of money. Holden's voice broke into a hoarse whisper. Find her. I don't care how long it takes. Check every city, every flight. Just find my wife. The man hesitated. Sir, do you still want the divorce? Holden didn't answer. He just stood there, staring at the signature that ended everything. I was in the back garden, hands buried in damp soil, when I sensed someone behind me.
Mia?
Pass me the watering can, will you? Silence. Before I could turn, someone slammed me against the wall. His hand clamped around my wrist like iron. You'd rather rot here, playing gardener, than come back to me? Holden, I gasped. What are you doing here? You have the papers. Who told you to sign them? He snapped, his voice breaking. I never wanted you to actually leave. If I'd known you'd really go through with it, I would never have said those things. Those things were divorce threats, I said coldly. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I was angry. About Sophia. I thought you'd done something unforgivable. I wanted to scare you, not lose you. I stared at him, incredulous. So, humiliating me in public was supposed to be a lesson? I knew you wouldn't leave, he said quietly, as if convincing himself. You only ever cared about money. I thought you were playing another one of your games. I couldn't help it, I laughed. The sharp sound was cut short by a loud smack. Mia had appeared, her face red with rage. You're the one who's been playing games, she shouted. If Chloe really only cared about your money, why did she leave your black card? Why didn't she take you to court for half your fortune? Holden froze. He looked at me, as if seeing me for the first time. Is that true? He asked, voice shaking. I smiled faintly. Sure. Give me 2/3 of your wealth, and I'll come back. The light in his eyes died. He let out a bitter laugh. Right. You haven't changed after all. Without another word, he turned and walked away. Holden was certain I'd return. In his mind, I couldn't live without the luxury he provided. But he was wrong. Mia and I left that town, and never looked back. When Holden finally returned to the flower shop, it was deserted. Dust covered the counters, and a "For Lease" sign hung crooked in the window. Amid the boxes left behind, one storage bag caught his attention. Inside, wrapped in soft paper, was a hand-knit scarf. Something small and pink fell out, a diary with a tiny combination lock. He tried my birthday first. Nothing. Then, with trembling fingers, he entered his own. It clicked open. June 12th, 2017. I landed a rich man with a broken heart.
Perfect.
No more starving, Chloe. May 23rd, 2019. Mia asked if I'm ashamed of pretending to be someone else. Ashamed? I used to live off instant noodles. Now I can eat real food. Pretending's a small price. April 3rd, 2021. He actually married me. What happens if Sophia comes back? I should save more while I can. This won't last forever. June 11th, 2021. Oh no. Am I falling for him? Maybe he cares too. He hasn't complained that I stopped copying her. Maybe love is supposed to feel like this? No one's ever really loved me before, except Mia. My mom named me after a rabbit she saw at the market. She left, but she knit me a scarf before she did. Maybe that was her way of saying she loved me. July 22nd, 2021. My fingers are bleeding from all the knitting. Love hurts. April 16th, 2022. Finished the scarf. Made a ring for him too.
But he fooled me.
He never loved me. Holden Blackwood. You bastard. From now on, we're enemies. Holden's hands trembled as he turned the pages. At the bottom of the bag lay the scarf, soft and neatly folded, and a small silver ring, handmade, rough around the edges, engraved inside with HB plus CL. He gripped it so tightly his knuckles went white. Chloe, he whispered. Where did you go? Sir, his assistant burst in, panting. We just got word about Miss Chloe. Holden's head shot up. What about her? The men who attacked Miss Sophia overseas, they weren't hired by Chloe. It was Sophia herself. Chloe was framed. The scarf fell from his hand, crushed and wrinkled. His face went pale as the weight of it all finally hit him. I didn't walk away from 5 years with Holden empty-handed. Somewhere between all the heartbreak and luxury, I'd picked up a sharp sense for business. With Mia beside me, I started from scratch in Monaco. Within a few years, we built something solid, a small but thriving company that gave me independence and peace. It wasn't a corporate empire like Blackwood Industries, but it was mine, and I never had to worry about money again. One day, an anonymous investor injected a massive sum into my company. The terms required an in-person meeting. I arrived at the boardroom expecting a stranger. Instead, I saw him, Holden Blackwood, immaculate as ever, yet wearing a ring so plain and mismatched with his tailored suit that it seemed almost laughable. A simple band, carved crudely by hand. My breath caught. Mr. Blackwood, I said evenly. When the others left, silence stretched between us. He didn't speak at first, just looked at me with something raw flickering behind his eyes. Then, without warning, he crossed the room and crushed me against him. His mouth met mine in a kiss that burned with years of restraint and regret. I pushed at his chest, breaking the contact. Have you lost your mind? He held up his hand, the ring glinting faintly in the light. You made this, he said hoarsely. And HB still loves CL very much. The initials I'd engraved myself. My stomach twisted. Take it off, I said. It's ugly. He smiled, a sad and fragile thing.
No.
It's perfect. It's the only thing I've ever truly loved. Mr. Blackwood, we're divorced.
He didn't argue.
Instead, he placed a document in front of me. I skimmed it, my brows knitting together. A transfer of assets? He nodded. You told me you'd come back for 2/3 of my wealth. So here, it's everything I have. I stared at him, stunned. Are you insane? You're giving away your entire company, your legacy? He looked at me with quiet desperation. What's the point of all that if I've already lost you? The pen trembled in my hand before I set it down. You should take your investment back. Chloe, he burst out, gripping my arm. You wanted money.
Take it.
Take all of it. Not anymore. My voice was steady. There's nothing of yours I want now. His eyes were rimmed with red, just like they used to be when he was broken and proud all at once.
Please.
Don't do this to me. Once, that amount of money could have rewritten my life. But I had built my own freedom now, brick by brick, with no one's name above mine. I'm sorry, Mr. Blackwood, I whispered. I gently freed my wrist from his grasp and called, Mia, please see our guest out. She appeared instantly, flanked by security, her expression cold. As I turned away, I heard him say my name again, soft, fractured. For just a second, my steps faltered. Then I walked on, my heels striking the marble floor until the sound faded. I didn't look back. Sophia never stopped chasing ghosts. Even after the world learned she had staged her own attack and lost everything, she still believed she could win him back. On a stormy night, wearing the same violet dress as years before, she stood beneath Holden's window. Rain poured down in sheets. He appeared again, a black umbrella in hand, but this time there was no trace of gentleness in his eyes. "So, you like pretending to be the victim?" His voice was calm, sharp as a blade. "Then let's make it real." His guards tied her to a tree at his order, leaving her screaming as thunder rolled overhead. "Holden, please. I'm sorry. I'll disappear, I swear." He turned away, stepping back inside. Lightning split the sky. The next flash found her still, her cries silenced by the storm. Holden never left that house again. When they found him the next morning, he was sitting motionless in his armchair, wrapped in a familiar handmade scarf. An empty bottle of sleeping pills lay beside him. He had left a will. "Everything, every company, property, and cent was in my name." When I stood before his casket, the documents trembling in my hands, the world blurred. A single tear splashed onto the polished lid. I bit my lip hard enough to taste blood. "Holden Blackwood," I whispered, my voice breaking, "there has never been a greater fool or a greater bastard than you."